everyone. Welcome back to Wait It Gets Better. It's episode 58, and today's episode is about schizophrenia. And let's dive right into it. Story time will come as I go, but I do know the next upcoming episodes will have personal story time with me giving relatable stories towards the topic. Now let's dive in. So I asked, what is schizophrenia? And this is what it said. Schizophrenia is a chronic, severe brain disorder that causes individuals to interpret reality abnormally, often involving hallucinations, hearing voices, delusions, false or fixed beliefs, and disorganized thinking, affecting less than 1% of the population. It disrupts daily life, work, and relationships. While there is no cure, consistent treatment, including medication and therapy, can help manage symptoms. The key aspects of schizophrenia are core symptoms. These are categorized into positive presence of abnormal behavior, like hallucinations and delusions, and the negative absence of normal behavior, like lack of motivation or emotion, and cognitive disorganized or thinking memory. Um, Brain function, it is considered a brain disease with research highlighting abnormalities in brain structure, function, and chemistry, and diagnosis requires symptoms to be present for at least 6 months with at least 1 month of active significant symptoms. Misconceptions, it does not mean a split personality or multiple personality disorder. Most people with schizophrenia are not violent. Hallucinations, experiencing sights or sounds that do not exist, with hearing voices being the most common. Delusions, firmly held false beliefs such as paranoia, believing someone is out to get them, or delusions of grandeur. Disorganized thinking, difficulties with concentration, memory, and speech, often referred to as word salad. When severe, negative symptoms reduce emotional expression, lack of interest, and social withdrawal. Stages, symptoms usually develop in the mid to late 20s and progress through phases. Excuse me, I'm butchering words again. Prodromal, early subtle signs, active severe symptoms, and residual recovery, less severe symptoms. Now, if you suspect somebody has schizophrenia, it is important to encourage them to seek professional help from a psychiatrist or mental health provider. And schizophrenia symptoms include a combination of hallucinations, hearing or seeing things that aren't real, delusions, fists or false beliefs, disorganized speech or behavior, and negative symptoms like reduced emotional expression or lack of motivation. Core symptoms of schizophrenia. Symptoms are generally categorized as positive added behaviors or negative subtracted behaviors or cognitive. The hallucinations, the delusions, disorganized speech and thinking, disorganized catatonic behavior, which is unpredictable agitation, inappropriate emotional responses, or complete lack of movement or responsiveness, which is catatonia. We have negative symptoms, a reduced ability to function, including flat affect, limited facial expression, lack of pleasure in daily life, social withdrawal, or severe lack of motivation. And the key aspects of symptoms, the stages, the symptoms usually develop in 3 stages: prodromal, early subtle changes, active, acute, severe psychotic symptoms, and residual recovery phase with milder symptoms. The cognitive impairment, trouble concentrating, difficulty paying attention, and memory problems are common, and lack of insight. Individuals often do not recognize they are ill, making voluntary treatment difficult. And like I said, if you suspect someone has schizophrenia, it is crucial to encourage them to seek professional help from a psychiatrist or healthcare provider. Now, talking about this topic definitely reminds me once again of a customer from my old deli job that would come in and complain to whatever cashier was there on register 1, that he was afraid he couldn't pay with a card, only cash, because he didn't want to be found as someone, he didn't want to be found by the Catholic Church. He thought the Catholic Church was out to get him. And at that job, there was like a $10 minimum to pay with card. Or like it was like something. There was something where he would just always give us a hard time, and he would complain like he was afraid he would be found by the Catholic Church, and he was like he thought they were out to get him. So there was something where he was just afraid he would be found. It was like I felt bad as somebody who was studying psychology at the time. I was going to school at Stony Brook at the time, and I was studying psychology. I definitely felt so bad. Everyone else was laughing at him as they normally did at that job. Like there would be plenty of people who came in with clearly, something going on, and they would just had either had no patience with them, or they would just laugh at them. And I can't say, like, I was the nicest to people, but I also never laughed at people who you could clearly tell, like, just weren't displaying, normal behaviors. Like this guy, I felt really bad. And unfortunately, the reality is there is a lot of people out there on the street like that who are lacking the access to the mental health care that they need, or they don't have anybody in their lives who are getting them the help that they need. And you also see that in, like, you go to Penn Station. If you're a New Yorker, if you're anybody who's traveling and you go to Penn Station, you will see a lot, or you go to New York City or anywhere in general that has a homeless population, you will see a lot of homeless people struggling with a mental illness. And I know, like, schizophrenia is definitely something I witness going on with a lot of the homeless population, and it breaks my heart. And it definitely, like, doing this topic just lit something in me where I was like, okay, like, doing this, studying this, and then it makes me think of, like, going to New York City and seeing all the homeless people. I kind of want to make it my goal in the future to open, like, a homeless shelter, and, like, put, mental health services in there, put vocational services in there, and just help people get back on their feet. Because the reality is, people do struggle and people do live their lives, with different circumstances. And a lot of people lack the help, or the family to help them, the friends to help them, the finances to help them. Like, there's so many people living different circumstances in this world that, like, it's sad, because a lot of people in those circumstances lack access to different things. And instead of laughing at people, we need to help people. And that's definitely something I want to work on in the future. But let's talk about it. Let's bring light to it. How schizophrenia is highly prevalent among the homeless population, with estimates ranging from 2% to over 40%. And individuals with this condition are 10 to 20 times more likely to experience homelessness than the general population. Symptoms like delusions, hallucinations, and paranoia cause functional decline, leading to eviction, family separation, and reduced employment. Homelessness, in turn, exacerbates illness, prevents consistent treatment, and increases risk of abuse and mortality. Excuse me. High prevalence schizophrenia is one of the most common psychiatric disorders among the unhoused, with studies showing up to 60% of homeless populations having a or at risk of psychotic disorder. Causes of housing loss, cognitive deficits with social withdrawal, poverty, and behaviors resulting from delusions and hallucinations make maintaining housing difficult. Barriers to care. Homelessness can often interrupt treatment, as individuals may lack access to care, lose medication, or struggle with follow-up appointments. Severe consequences. The combination of schizophrenia and homelessness increases risk of extreme weather exposure, hypothermia, starvation, and substance abuse, and victimization. Treatment and support approaches. For housing first. Securing stable housing is a primary step, as it provides the stability needed to effective psychiatric care. Assertive community treatment, intensive community-based care to reach individuals who are not engaging with traditional services, integrated care, programs that treat both mental illness and associated substance use disorders or physical health issues, and social support systems, reconnecting with families or social services to provide stability and reduce isolation. Hopelessness with schizophrenia creates a self-perpetuating cycle where the lack of housing makes treating the illness difficult, and illness makes obtaining housing almost impossible. Now, schizophrenia requires comprehensive lifelong, excuse me, the way I just said that. I can't even think of what accent that would be, like what state accent that would be. Lifelong. It sounds like a Long Island, which I have a Long Island accent, but it was so weird. Anyways, schizophrenia requires lifelong comprehensive treatment to manage symptoms, as there is no cure. The foundation treatment is antipsychotic medication, pills, or long-acting injections to control brain chemistry, complemented by psychosocial therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, and community support services. Early intervention with specialized programs like coordinated specialty care significantly improves long-term outcomes. Antipsychotic medications, primary treatment, secondary generation atypical, often preferred as the may have fewer motor side effects. Examples include risperidone, which is what I take, but I don't take it for schizophrenia. I take it for bipolar disorder. But I'm sure it's an antipsychotic, so I'm sure it could be used for other things. Aripiprazole and olanzapine. We have first generation typical, older effective medications like haloperidol, through though they carry a higher risk of movement related side effects, and long acting injectables available for individuals who struggle to take daily medication, providing stability for 1 to 4 weeks, and non-pharmacological and psychosocial therapies. Cognitive behavioral therapy for psychosis helps patients manage um, and cope with hallucinations and delusions. Assertive community treatment provides intensive team-based support for individuals with high need, severe, or persistent symptoms. Family psychoeducation educates family members to support the patient and reduce relapse rates. And supported employment, vocational rehabilitation helps patients retain jobs and develop daily living skills. And side effects of medications. While effective, antipsychotics can cause side effects including including dizziness, restlessness, weight gain, metabolic changes, and movement disorders, tremors, and stiffness. Importance of early intervention. Treating psychosis early, especially after the first episode, is critical. Programs designed for early intervention, coordinated specialty care, combined therapy, medication, and family support, leading to better functional outcomes. And symptoms, emergency care. If symptoms are severe and pose a danger to the patient or others, hospitalization may be necessary to ensure safety and stabilize medication doses. Now, schizophrenia is caused by a complex multifactorial interplay of genetic that was a word salad. I thought, and I was like, really, the flow was going with that. I was like, oh, I'm eating this shit up. Excuse my language. I'm eating this up. And all of a sudden, I mess up in the predisposition part. Let me start that over. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm a mess. Schizophrenia is caused by a complex, multifactorial interplay of genetic predisposition, brain chemistry imbalances, specifically dopamine and glutamate, and environmental factors. While no single cause exists, it is often involves inherited risks combined with prenatal, developmental, and psychoactive substance use influences that disrupt brain development. Key factors contributing to schizophrenia: genetics, a strong hereditary a strong hereditary component exists with a higher risk if a parent or sibling has the disorder. Although no single gene is responsible, studies suggest a 60 to 80% risk is attributed to genetic factors. Brain chemistry and structure imbalances in neurotransmitters, dopamine and glutamate, and structural abnormalities in the brain are linked to disease. And environmental factors, prenatal birth issues, malnutrition, viruses or toxins during pregnancy, childhood and life events, childhood trauma, severe stress, and growing up in high-risk environment, substance use, use of mind-altering drugs during teenage years or young adulthood can trigger the onset vulnerable individuals. And immune system factors. Emerging evidence suggests that immune system activation or chronic neuroinflammation can play a role. While often appears in young adulthood, the combination of these factors can disrupt brain function and lead to the development of psychotic symptoms. So, okay, let's talk about let's hold on. Let's see. There's more here. Schizophrenia is a complex treatable brain disorder involving hallucinations, delusions, not multiple personalities, or inherent violence. While no cure exists, many people with schizophrenia manage symptoms to lead productive lives with proper early treatment. It is caused by genetics and brain chemistry, not bad parenting, and sufferers are more often victims than perpetrators of violence. Now let's talk about it. Common myths versus realities of schizophrenia. Myth is that schizophrenia equals multiple personalities. The truth is, this is a common confusion with dissociative identity disorder, which I will do a future episode about. Schizophrenia is a split from reality, psychosis, not a split from different identities. The myth is that people with schizophrenia are violent and dangerous. The truth is that most individuals with the condition are not violent. They are actually more likely to be victims of violence or harm themselves than to hurt others. The myth is that bad parenting causes schizophrenia. The truth is that schizophrenia is a mental health disorder rooted in genetics, brain chemistry, and environmental factors, not the result of a poor upbringing. And the myth is that people with schizophrenia cannot live normal lives or work. The truth is that with treatment, including medication and therapy and social support, many individuals manage their symptoms to work, live independently, and have meaningful relationships. The myth is that it is impossible to recover from schizophrenia, but the truth is that while permanent cure is rare, 43 to 84% of people with schizophrenia improve significantly or recover with proper, often early intervention. The myth is that, hold on a second. The myth is that people with schizophrenia belong in a hospital, and the truth is that long-term hospitalization is rarely necessary. Most people manage their condition in the community with outpatient care. The core factors of this about the condition, symptoms are varied. Beyond hallucinations and delusions, symptoms include negative symptoms like the lack of motivation, social withdrawal, and cognitive difficulties in a planning or memory. Treatment is effective. Antipsychotic medications, therapy, and vocational rehabilitation are highly effective at managing symptoms, and it affects brain function. The disease significantly affects how a person thinks, acts, or expresses emotion. During my early education on psychology, I did a final paper on some movies that depict schizophrenia, and the one I chose was Shutter Island. So let's talk about and let's go more into depth about it. I'm just gonna give you some movies about schizophrenia that range from biopics of geniuses to raw, intimate portrayals of daily life, with notable examples including Oscar-winning Beautiful Minds, the musical journey of the soloist, and the harrowing realistic portrayal of Clean Shaven. These films often explore the challenges of managing hallucinations and paranoia while trying to maintain connections to reality. So here are some key movies about schizophrenia. So, Beautiful Mind in 2001, a biographical drama depicting the life of Nobel Peace Prize winning mathematician John Nash and his long struggle with schizophrenia. We have The Soloist, which came out in 2009. It tells the story of Nathaniel Ayers, a talented musician who develops schizophrenia and ends up homeless. Clean Shaven, 1993. It features a stark, intense portrayal of a man with schizophrenia who has been institutionalized. Excuse me. Once again, I'm butchering a word. Institutionalized and is struggling to interact with the world. Excuse me. Oh my God, you guys, get with it, Alyssa. Um, Words on Bathroom Walls, which came out in 2020, a teen drama that focuses on a high school student navigating life with schizophrenia. The Fear of Rain came out in 2021, follows a teenage girl with schizophrenia who begins to suspect her neighbor of kidnapping a child while struggling with her own hallucinations. Angel Baby, which came out in 1995, a film about two people with schizophrenia who fall in love. They Look Like People, 2015, an independent film centered on a man who suspects his friends are not who they seem. Take Shelter, 2011. Um, man's anxiety about coming. Jesus. Explores themes of paranoia and a man's anxiety about coming catastrophes, blurring the line between prophecy and psychosis. And some other notable films that doesn't give too much detail about: The Fisher King, 1991. Repulsion in 1965, Spider 2002, the one I wrote the paper about, Shutter Island 2010, Daniel Isn't Real 2019, and Lost Transmissions in 2019. Now these films vary in their accuracy, with some like A Beautiful Mind focusing on a more dramatic narrative, while others like Clean Shaven aim for more visceral, unfiltered experiences of the illness. Now that the research didn't give too many details about the one I wrote the paper on, Um, let's talk more about Shutter Island, which is, I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite movies. It is a good movie. I do love Leo DiCaprio, but I'm talking about it on the with the context of like I wrote a paper about it for a final paper for my first psychology class for college when I was going to Suffolk. It was Psych 101. And I just found it interesting how like I watched this movie. This movie came out when I was like in high school, my senior year of high school, and I never thought I like watching it, you would never think to analyze it as if it was schizophrenia, but like once you're in college and you're studying psychology, you're like, "Oh yeah, it makes sense. What he was struggling with was schizophrenia." So let's talk about it. Shutter Island 2010, which is I was a senior in high school or just graduated high school, depicts severe psychosis, often interpreted as a form of paranoid schizophrenia or delusional disorder through the character Andrew Latis, Teddy, who creates a complex paranoid fantasy world to repress severe trauma. The film highlights symptoms like fixed delusions, vivid hallucinations, severe memory loss, and a complete break from reality. So, the key depictions of mental illness in Shutter Island: complex delusional system. Teddy believes he is a U.S. Marshal investigating a conspiracy at a mental health institution, a narrative his mind created to escape the reality that he murdered his wife after she drowned their children. Hallucinations and memory distortions. He experiences a vivid, haunting visions of his deceased wife and children, often blending past trauma with his present surroundings. Paranoia and the lack of insight. He believes staff are conspiring against him, including that cigarettes provided to him are laced with drugs. He is unable to see that perceived reality is fabricated and trauma induced psychosis. His condition is rooted in severe PTSD from liberating the Dachau concentration camp and the subsequent guilt of his wife's actions, leading to the total psychotic break and the role play treatment. The film showcases a fictionalized radical form of therapy where doctors act out Teddy's delusions to help him confront the truth. While some psychological analysis suggests the film is melodramatic or inaccurate representation of clinical schizophrenia, it is widely recognized as a portrayal of a character living entirely with an alternate reality to cope with profound guilt and grief. So, um, definitely check out Shutter Island if that's something you want to watch, because I thought it was a good movie. Like at the time that I watched it in 2010, I had no idea that's what was going on, but as an adult, you realize more as you watch things. So I think completely did a whole paper on it, my final paper. No, that was, like I said, that was a good movie, one of my favorite actors. But let's get back to the facts. Um, Self care for schizophrenia focuses on managing symptoms, promoting stability, and enhancing quality of life through consistent routines. Key strategies include adhering to medication, maintaining regular sleep and diet, exercising, stress management, and building a strong support system. Proactive self care reduces relapse risk and improves daily functioning. Treatment adherence: you have take medications consistently and keep all doctor's appointments. Use reminders like alarms or pill boxes. 100%, I think pill boxes are very helpful. You can get them at CVS, the dollar store. You can get them anywhere. Anywhere that they sell things like that. Um, Routine, which just saying that makes no sense. Like CVS, get it from Walgreens, any drugstore, you can get at Target, anything like that is what I meant to say. I'm so sorry. So, routine and structure: create a daily schedule to provide a sense of stability and purpose, which helps manage cognitive and negative symptoms. Sleep hygiene: prioritize 7 to 9 hours of sleep by maintaining a strict schedule, as lack of sleep can trigger symptoms. And physical activity: engage in at least 30 minutes of daily exercise, walking, to improve mood, reduce stress, and counteract weight gain from medications. Nutrition: eat a balanced, nutritious meals to maintain energy and manage physical health. Limit alcohol and excessive caffeine. Stress management: practice the relaxation techniques such as mindfulness, deep breathing, yoga. I always suggest yoga. I used to do it. I definitely want to get back into it when I can. I loved it. I love it, and I definitely want to get back into it. Hygiene management, set reminders for daily tasks like brush your teeth or showering, which can become challenging, and coping with symptoms and social support. Identify triggers, recognize personal warning signs of relapse like lack of sleep, increased anxiety, and have a plan. Um, Support system connects with friends, family, or support groups to share experiences and reduce isolation, and avoid substance use, avoid alcohol and drugs as they can trigger psychosis and make symptoms worse. Education, learn about the condition to better manage it and reduce the stigma, and positive self-talk, challenge negative thoughts and do not define yourself with the diagnosis. Complementary approaches, nutritional support studies suggest omega-3 fatty acids may help. Some evidence indicates that medical ketogenic therapy under strict doctor supervision, under strict doctor supervision may improve metabolic health and reduce symptoms. And disclaimer, always consult a doctor or mental health professional before making a significant change to your treatment or diet. Now, here are some trusted schizophrenia resources for support, education, crisis help, and community. And here we go. So we have immediate help or crisis lines like the 988 Lifeline. You can call or text 988 for mental health crises. The SAMHSA National Helpline, which is 1-800-662-4357. I'll repeat that. It's 1-800-662-4357. It's for free confidential treatment referrals 24/7. Mental Health Hotline 866-903-3787 for confidential emotional support. I'll repeat that. 866-903-3787. And the VA crisis line is 800-273-8255, or you can chat online, available 24/7. It's the VA crisis line. Now, here are some support groups for schizophrenia. We have the Schizophrenia Alliance, which is peer groups, weekly meetings, globally, Zoom, and the phone. Excuse me. We have Schizophrenia Connect. It is a small moderated online group that meet every 2 weeks. Schizophrenia peer group support. Excuse me, I read that wrong. Schizophrenia peer support, a live weekly group chats and forums via private online community, and free peer support forum. It's a community open to anyone with schizophrenia or related disorders. Now, resources for families and caregivers. Caregiver support groups provide confidential spaces to share challenges, learning to cope with, being a caregiver, and find community. Some education and advocacy. We have resource center articles, videos, facts, practical tools for navigating symptoms like help.org can be a guide, and which includes info from the National Institute of Mental Health and treatment guides and some clinical treatment support. Specialists can help you choose medications, therapy goals, and relapse prevention strategies. And some programs also connect patients with education, work, and social services. And the international helplines in the UK, it's Rethink, is 0300 5000927. And we have Australia. It's Sane. It is 1-800-187263. And for India, the number is 1-860-2662-345. And for community forums and discussions, people online often recommend searching therapist directories by conditions, contacting helplines for local referrals, and using coordinated specialty care programs for early psychosis. And it's important to remind yourselves that schizophrenia is treatable and many people live meaningful, stable lives. And I always say this, meaningful, stable lives with the right combination of support, treatment, and community. Now, here are some well-documented public figures who are diagnosed with schizophrenia or psychoaffective disorders, either confirmed themselves, family, or medical records. And so here we go. So we have Science and Academia, John Nash, a brilliant I talked about this. This is who a brilliant, what was it called? A Beautiful Mind? Yes, A Beautiful Mind. Here's what the movie A Beautiful Mind was about. John Nash was a brilliant mathematician whose life with schizophrenia was portrayed in A Beautiful Mind. He experienced severe delusions but later achieved long-term stability. Now, I remember my sister when she was going to college for psychology at the time. This was way before. This was when she was in college. I was in like middle school, high school. She's 7 years older than me, my oldest sister, the one that I'm close to. So I remember she told my mom, she would always come home telling my mom about like school and things. And she's like, mom, they always say like sometimes genius or being really, really smart or a genius borders on psychosis. And like when she said that, I was like, oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that. But studying psychology as I got older, I'm like, I studied it myself. I learned, I'm like, that's very true. Genius does border on psychosis. So maybe, you know, it does, really says something. When somebody's a genius, a lot of the time there's, well, cognitive reason behind it. So, okay, let's dive right in to the music portion of the music artists who have schizophrenia. So we have Sid Barrett, founding member of Pink Floyd. His mental health struggles led him to leave the band early in his career. We have Peter Green, a guitarist and songwriter who experienced psychosis and later diagnosed with schizophrenia. We have Brian Wilson, diagnosed with psychoaffective disorder and has openly discussed auditory hallucinations and treatment. Zelda Fitzgerald, she's in literature and the arts, a writer and artist, and the wife of F. Scott Fitzgerald, diagnosed with schizophrenia in the 1930s and spent periods in treatment facilities. We have, for sports, we have Lionel Aldridge, the Green Bay Packers player who later spoke publicly about living with schizophrenia and advocating for awareness, and historical figures like Edward Einstein, the son of Albert Einstein, diagnosed with schizophrenia in early adulthood and treated in psychiatric hospitals. Now, his dad was a genius, Albert Einstein. So I'm curious, like I want to look into it. I wonder if he ever like suffered from any mental illness, and because remember how I said genius sometimes borders on psychosis? I gotta look into it now. Let me look into that now. Let's see, because they do say schizophrenia is it's like genetic in some aspects. So let's see. Let's see. Let's look up right now. I know this has nothing to do with the topic, but I'm genuinely curious for the sake of mental health. And let's see. Did Albert Einstein, bear with me, guys. Did Albert Einstein have mental health, mental illness? He did not have a diagnosed severe mental illness. Let's see. Okay, let's read this. I'm curious now. Albert Einstein did not have diagnosed severe mental illness, but researchers and biographers have noted he displayed behaviors consistent with high functioning autism spectrum disorder or Asperger's, such as social awkwardness. He delayed speech and intense focus while he was a lone traveler with intense intellectual focus. His eccentricities were often interpreted as traits of genius rather than dysfunction. Okay, interesting. And I always say, you know, just because somebody has autism spectrum disorder doesn't mean that, they're not smart people. That's interesting. Like he didn't have a full diagnosis, but they often say he had that. Interesting. Interesting. People with autism spectrum disorder are smart people. It doesn't make them stupid. And I hate the stigma that comes with that. And I know this has nothing to do with the topic, but I'm just making a point right now because I watched this woman's content on social media. She has a son with autism, and she was showing him, she was asking him to point to a certain letter, She's like, point to the letter B, or point to the letter F, or point to the letter J, or something like that. And he was pointing to it. And her whole point was trying to like eradicate the stigma that comes with autism spectrum disorder. And I spoke about this in a previous episode, but I'm just making a point to say, like, just because somebody has autism spectrum disorder, the whole stigma that comes with that is that they're severely disabled, or you know what I mean, or like they're just they're stupid, and I hate that. I hate that stigma that comes with it. And like, I just, anyways, let's get back on topic, you guys. I got totally, you know how you can totally see how passionate I am about mental health. 100%. Like I do more and more research as I learn more and more things, but okay, let's move on. So, let's talk about the affirmations. My favorite part. This is my favorite part because I love affirmations. Affirmations for people living with schizophrenia. So we have stability and grounding. I am safe in this moment. My experience, my experiences do not define my worth. I can take things one step at a time. I am allowed to rest when I need to. For self-worth, I am more than my diagnosis. I want to make a shirt. I want to make a shirt that says that. I will in the future. I deserve kindness, patience, and understanding. My voice matters. I'm worthy of respect and support. And that goes for any mental health diagnosis, especially when society stigmatizes mental health in general. Like, people, no matter what your mental health diagnosis is, everyone is worthy of respect and support. And I just think kindness goes a long way. And resilience, I have survived hard days before and I can survive today. Healing is not linear, and that's okay. 100%. I always say that. I am learning how to care for myself. Progress counts no matter how small. Some reality anchors to helpful during distress. This feeling will pass. I can check what is real and ask for help. I am not alone. And I can ground myself in the present moment. And some affirmations for caregivers and loved ones. Um, Strength and patience. I am doing my best, and that is enough. I can support someone without losing myself. It is okay to take breaks. I'm allowed to have feelings too. For compassion, I lead with understanding, not fear. I can listen without needing all the answers. My presence is meaningful. Small acts of care matter, and boundaries and self care. Caring for myself helps me care for others. I can ask for help when I need it. I do not have to carry this alone. I deserve support and peace. And some shared affirmations to say together. We are a team. We can get through hard moments together, and we choose patience and compassion. We are stronger than stigma. And affirmations work best when repeated daily, spoken aloud or written, and paired with breathing and grounding exercises. Now, here are some crisis moment affirmations for schizophrenia. So we have grounding in reality. This moment will pass. I am safe right now. My mind is reacting, but I am still in control of my actions. I can pause and breathe. I don't have to understand everything right now. I am not in danger. I can let this feeling move through me. I am stronger than this moment. And for stability, I can reach out for help. I don't have to handle this alone. I can take this 1 minute at a time. I can focus on one thing I see, one thing I feel, and one thing I hear. And say, these are for the caregivers. I can stay calm when things feel intense. I'm steady presence. I don't have to fix everything right now. I can respond with patience. Their experience is real to them. Listening is more powerful than arguing. I can speak gently and clearly, and I can help them feel safe. And from short emergency phrases, easy to repeat out loud, you are safe, I'm here. We can get through this together. Let's breathe slowly. It's okay. This will pass. And for tips during a crisis, write 3 to 5 of these on a small card or phone note so they're ready when symptoms spike. In crisis moments, shorter phrases work best because concentration may be limited. Now, that's it for today about schizophrenia. It was very short. It was like, what, 38 minutes? So thank you guys for listening. Like I said, I was late a little bit today. Also, I was babysitting till 2 o'clock. I came home and my throat was killing me. My throat's still killing me. And I was like trying to feel better by tomorrow. But I'm like, let me do this just in case, like, tomorrow I wake up and it's worse. So let me get this done while my voice is still here. So thank you guys for listening. I definitely am so happy that I'm announcing this, but I was approved to be an Apple podcast. I've been waiting Since before I left Spotify, I after I left Spotify because of the ICE ads, I inquired about Apple. I've been waiting for months, and then finally, like after being back of a few episodes back on Spotify, Apple approved me finally after months, and I was so happy. Now I'm on 3 different platforms. I'm on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, and I definitely wanna try to look into Amazon maybe, because I see a lot of podcasters are on, like, multiple different, platforms, but like always, thank you guys for your support. Thank you for listening. Like I said, I don't know if it's some of you, none of you, or all of you. I do this thing where I don't look at the analytics. I just kind of do my thing and then without knowing who's watching, but I do it with care. I do it with intention. And anybody who listens, thank you for listening. I love you guys. So I'll be back next time to talk about anxiety with public speaking. I will definitely have a lot of story time with that. Very relatable. That is my biggest thing, especially when I was in school, especially when I was on the e-board for for the humanology project. I had to do a lot of, announcements for my division that I was in charge of, and I would always freeze and look at them like, "Oh my God, like I have to talk to these people." I have anxiety when it comes to that. So I definitely wanted to do that, do a topic about that. And then the next one after that will be alcoholism. I don't have personal story time with that because I'm not an alcoholic, but I do have people I love and care about who suffered from alcoholism. I have a family history of it that I will talk about. I will definitely talk to my dad about his family and get more information on that before I come back in 2 weeks with that topic. And then the topic after that will be about relationship cheating and mental health, how it affects the person doing it, and maybe talk about, and not maybe, I will talk about what is the, psychology behind people cheating. So definitely we'll talk about that. So if you or anyone you know is struggling, text home to 741-741, the crisis text line for a free confidential conversation with a trained counselor at any time of day. Text or call 988 or use the chat function at 988lifeline.org. 988 continues to offer support to anyone who needs it, but no longer offers specialized LGBTQ plus support. If you're looking for specialized LGBTQ plus support, you can contact the Trevor Project directly at 1-866-488-7386 or text START to 678-678 or connect online at trvr.org/help. Excuse me. Let me say that again. You can connect online at trvr.org/get-help for this same free and secure support as always, and you can find more crisis resources at the jedfoundation.org/crisis, and the new Lifeline for Canada, given for the LGBTQIA community, is 1-877-330-6366, and you can call the NAMI helpline at 800-950-6264, or you can text NAMI, N-A-M-I, to 62640, or you find help tool at twlohA.com/find-help or peer support groups at twlohA.com/peer support, and the mental health toolkit at mentalhealthtoolkit.co, and the crisis text line you can text TWLOHA at 741-741. Thank you guys for listening. See you next time. Remember, this too shall pass. I love you guys. Stay well, enjoy your weekends, and bye-bye.